Boom. Okay, so I think we're live. This little thing right here, I'm not going to pull it up. I'm not going to pull it up here because I love audio issues. I love them. And if you know me, you know that that's not true. Anyway, we are live. I am Sam Healy, and this right here on your screens is Mr. Kevin Burky Burkardsmeyer, and I just murdered the pronunciation of his last name.
No, you did that great, man. Sam, you could get a job at any telemarketing company in the world.
I can be a telemarketer?
Normally they go, is Mr. Birkenheimer Schmidt there or something? And I said, no, he's not here.
Okay. Well, everybody, thank you for joining us. I know that we are 17, 18 minutes late, but I was having some audio issues. And we're super ghettoing it. I'm using my phone as a microphone because it's the only one that StreamYard is apparently liking right now. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to stick with it and go with it, and we'll go from there. So what we're going to do here, in case you didn't know, Game Toppers is our channel sponsor. And so Burky provides a game topper that we do all of our stuff on, that we do all of our live playthroughs, and we take our game topper to game nights and all the stuff. A lot of playmats. We use all the playmats that we use on the channel are all from game toppers and other stuff as well. And now this is not just a business relationship. I want to make sure that is on the up and center from the very beginning, because I've known Burky for almost 11 years.
Sam, you're like a family to me. You know what I'm saying?
What is that?
And when did we ever refuse an accommodation?
We go way back. We go way back before Game Toppers was even a thing. I think when we first met, Burky was pulling off the Sheriff of Nottingham cosplay at I want to say a BGG con. I think that was the first time we met, and we were at like a barbecue chicken restaurant. We sat across the table from each other, and that was
we were doing I was helping Arcane Wonders at that time, and that was right before we launched Board Game Theater, and our first episode was actually I was the good Sheriff of Nottingham. Surely you do not have 3 plump chickens in your pouch. But we met at Babes with the Dice Tower crew, and we just had so much fun at Babes Chicken Shack. I still go there every year.
Oh, you do? That's cool.
I love that place.
That's super awesome. Yeah, it was great food, and I have to say that I think I enjoyed the company even more. Like I said, Burky was sitting across the table from me, and he and I were able to talk with other people. It wasn't an exclusive conversation, but I really just felt a kindred spirit with Burky, and the more I get to know him, the more true that kindred spirit feeling became. And so we've been friends for a very long time, and we'll get to an origins story here in a little bit, because I do have some I guess you could say some questions in the barrel ready to go. But as I told him earlier, there's not going to be any curveballs. This is just going to be an interview for him to showcase what he's doing now. But I wanted to kind of show on the front end that this is more than just a business relationship. There's a lot going on here. Other than that, I really enjoy all of the products that Game Toppers puts out there. I don't use all of them because they're not all practical for what I do. But what I do use, oh my goodness, they're like the tried and true, and it's above and beyond. So I just wanted to say that on the get to going. Let me go ahead and get a couple of, I want to try a couple of things out. This is a little bit of a, is that a little?
That must be a new mat we're going to make.
That's a little busy. That's a little busy, but I like it. We're going to keep it. We're going to keep it for it because I want to see how it goes. Everybody's eyeballs just got blown out, but that's okay. So the little ticker down at the bottom, we are getting to know Kevin Burky Burkhardsmeyer, CEO of Game Toppers. And that second part, you can go check out the new 5.0 Kickstarter using the link in the description below. That's an important part because we are going to be talking about a lot of things that are going on that campaign right now, and some other stuff about how Game Toppers came about and, you know, Burky's philosophy on some things. But we're going to keep that running for right now. But before we get to the nitty gritty, can you take some time and give us Game Toppers origin story? How did Game Toppers come about?
Well, it really started not far after that Sheriff of Nottingham. It was just when we went to Gen Con 2014 with my son for his graduation party. We went and I've been a gamer since high school. In 1983, I was playing those games like Shogun and Axis and Allies and Fortress America and those big Milton Bradley games. So I played some hobby board games, but and we played the mess out of Risk. Oh my goodness, we played Risk till night on end. You know, that my honeymoon night or my bachelor night. That's what we stayed up all night and played Risk.
Okay, you
not on my honeymoon, on the bachelor party.
Man, you said honeymoon.
My wife would go along with that one, but I wish she'd go along with that one. No, but seriously, I'd been a gamer, but I didn't really know what was happening in this whole board game hobby thing until we went to Gen Con that year. And it was like, it was Toyland. I couldn't believe it. I just couldn't believe it. And we were in the hot games or in the open play area. At that time, they had a room, you could get a ticket, and they had a library. And we're playing the game Nothing Personal. And I'm there with my son, Josiah, Barry Seidel, and his son, who's best friends with my son. And we're trying to learn the rules. And this big old guy comes walking by with a big red shirt and red hat. And Josiah and Trevor, they looked up and they were speechless. I mean, they couldn't say it. And I'm like, who's this guy? I didn't know who Tom Vassell was. And he goes, have you whacked anyone yet? No. We want to, but we're trying to figure out these rules. Anyway, we had an awesome time. Well, the next night, Tom was in that room again, and he saw us just meandering. He goes, would you like to play a game with us? And he said, yeah, love to. And we played El Grande. And this was one of those moments for us that's really dear to my heart because we had so much fun. And we got to know Tom after that. The next year, we were at Gen Con, and I saw him, and my daughters have a historical costume company. They're actually the national clothiers for the Jane Austen Society. They make these amazing gowns. Maddie's Millinery and Costumers, just to put a little plug in for them. Anyway, I pitched Tom this idea. I said, what do you think if we dressed up in costume and we played board games and we made the costumes from the art assets of the game? And he goes, that's a great idea. He said, I can't give you any money, but I'll put you on Board Game Breakfast. Yeah. And, you know, so we did it and we launched and we did a whole bunch of episodes and it was just super big fun. And I got to know a lot of media folks. I got to know a lot of publishers. And at that time, there was a company making dedicated tables called Geek Chic. Mm-hmm. And these were awesome. And it was kind of like, oh my goodness, I want one of those. Well, I'm a craftsman, so I can build stuff, and my dad's a craftsman. And so I designed a dedicated table. He built it out of hickory, and it's got gorgeous leather and all this cool stuff. Well, then my two oldest daughters, they live about a half an hour, 40 minutes away from us, and we would play games on Wednesday nights with them. Well, we'd go there, and I had this idea. What if I made a portable table? How can I bring this elevated experience? And so I made a prototype, and I got to be honest, it was kind of crappy. Great big old honking hinge in the bottom, and could barely get it in my Suburban. I had a big old chunk of carpet for a play area, no cup holders, nothing like that. but it worked. And then I got thinking, and I made another one. Then I made a third one. Then I started going, oh my. So I've owned several businesses. I ran a successful computer company called Integrity Computer Systems. I sold that to my partners, and my family went on the road doing music and family ministry and different things like that all over the world. But during that time, when I built this third prototype, the business acumen thoughts kept coming to me like, wow, what if, I wonder if people would like this. Could I make this? And I knew that making it out of wood, that the cost of a table is not in the legs. The cost is in the top and the craftsmanship. And I had some manufacturing connections. I went to Scott, a big company here that we used to do their networks. I said, I got this idea, Scott. You're going to think I'm crazy. It's about board games. And he said the classic line, you mean like Monopoly? And I said, yeah, exactly. So I bring in this beautiful oak prototype that my dad and I built. And he goes, oh my goodness, Burky, we never get prototypes like this. We get napkin drawings, and then we work on things. They're a large company that makes signs for Target, Best Buy, Estee Lauder, huge company. Cool. Well, we ended up working with them on this idea to find out a way to make something high quality, make it accessible price-wise, make it manufacturable. And we landed on going with a military-grade T6 is the temper of aluminum. It's very hard. It's called military grade. It's not a cliche. They use it in military parts like firing pins for guns and stuff. It's that hard so it can maintain tolerances. It's very expensive. Nonetheless, he said, I think this is what we need to achieve all the functionality you want, the cup holder attachments, all of that. I spent $30,000 of my own money to make these two molds, and money I didn't have. I had to borrow some from my brother-in-law. And we don't have a company now, okay? But I've got this idea and I got this dream. So I start calling my media friends, and a bunch of them bought these toppers. I sold them to them for half of what I paid for them. Mark Street got one from me, and Chaz Marler, and I mean, all kinds of folks got these. And 19 publishers bought these toppers from me and put them in their show kits at Gen Con. Yellow Games bought 9 of them.
Yeah, I remember that.
It was amazing, and everywhere you went, you saw Game Toppers. But we didn't we didn't even know it was Game Toppers, the name yet. So I don't even have it all set up. We're just I needed to know that my concept would work before I went to crowdfunding. That was just starting to be a big thing. And but I didn't want to go without it being proven. So I invested that to make sure I could do what I was going to say, what I said. I wanted to make sure I could live up to those promises. So long and short of it, we took 120 of those little quick video, first impression videos of people. Hey, what do you think about playing on a game topper? What? This is on a folding table? I said, yeah. Well, this is awesome. Well, how much are they? And I said, well, we're trying to go for about $600. What? I want one. Everybody said it. Publishers were raving. And we went to Kickstarter that year. We raised $500,000. By the end of the year, we doubled it. The next year, we added more sizes, more mats, started adding accessories. We doubled it again. The third year, we went international to Europe and Australia, New Zealand. We've got toppers in Israel, Dubai, Singapore, all over the world now. And it was just one of those things that came from that idea of how do I make a portable game table just to go have fun with my daughters. That's
awesome. So it's really, it's really a grassroots company. This is not like corporate this or that. This literally started in your backyard, basically.
You should have seen our garage, man. I had the first 60 prototypes that we bought loaded in my garage here. And if I told you some of the stories of obstacles and challenges and stuff, this thing shouldn't have happened. It's really, I give credit to a lot of things. First off, I give credit to God. He's been so gracious to me and so kind to make this thing work. If his favor wouldn't have been on us, I don't think any of this would have happened. But then it really was my backers and my publisher friends and my media friends that they loved it. They truly loved it. They knew, I think they felt that they could trust me to deliver on what I was saying, that type of stuff, because we had built relationships. But people just, I mean, Scott Alden, I love this guy so much from Board Game Geek. I met him at an airport in Chicago on a layover, and I saw him and I go, oh, that's Scott Alden. And I was kind of nervous, but I went over to talk to him and we just started talking. And at that time, I just had a little video on my iPad and it was my wooden prototype. And I said, well, I got this idea to make these things and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, I hold this big convention. Yeah, I know. I love it. He says, I want these in the hot games room. He bought 34 of those tables. Now they have 40 of them. Yeah. And they've been through like 12 or 26 conventions or 28 conventions now. And they look like when they bought them 8 years ago. It's just so many friends like that showed us such kindness to get this idea out to the world. You know what I mean? You're one of them. I mean, when I heard you were starting your channel and you were moving up north and all that, I was like, oh man, I want to get alongside Sam. I love Sam. I wonder if I can partner with him on the channel. So it wasn't about sales as much as it was friendship, but obviously we're trying to get the product known to people.
Yeah. More eyes, the more eyes that you can get on the product, the better. And we were absolutely floored and happy to do it with you. So that's awesome. All right. Before we move on to my next question, I do have a question from a member of our audience. Mr. Philip Zomberg says, is there an artist you have been desperately wishing would collab with you to make a playmat?
Oh, I love this question because where this question is coming from is we have 32 styles of premium thematic game mats. And we hire some of the top board game artists like Vincent Dutray, who I just adore. Amber Scarf did our nature mat. She's doing a brand new underwater world map on our Kickstarter. Ryan Lockett, I love him. He did this map that was kind of like from the game Haven. He has a new Arzium mat on this Kickstarter. Well, I have a ton of these artists, Xavier Ink Golem, John McCambridge, Xavier Ink Golem, Andreas Ziferatis, Yaroslav Radecki, amazing artists. But I would love to work with Andrew Bosley. I would love to work with Ian O'Toole. I would love to work with Quanche Morai. I mean, these guys, these people, I love their art. And I've contacted them at different times in scheduling. These are high demand people. And so it's not always the easiest to coordinate, but I have a few things in the works and I would love to do some amazing art with them. I wonder what other people would like to see.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, we'll keep that avenue open. And if you're watching, feel free to put questions into the comments because we will break away from those comments that I have prepared. But moving on, so that was your origin story. If you have been able to take a look at the Kickstarter, they have this pretty cool slogan. And that's what I'm focusing on here for this next one. One table to rule them all. That's a great thematic slogan. And but I wanted Burky to kind of tell us a little bit about why that slogan is true.
That's a great question too. That you haven't fed me these questions. Of course, I know my product, but we were talking about the versatility of the Game Topper. We were talking about how it does what no other table does. There's amazing table companies out there that I recommend people take a look and find out what you want. You know, if you want a premium solid wood walnut table, and you know, Wormwood is they're awesome. They're 10, 15 grand for some of them, but they're beautiful. I have no problem with anybody doing other things. But we felt the Game Topper system is what we've really kind of started to coin, is truly one table to rule them all, because you can take your topper, which most of the models come in two sections. You can easily put it on your table. One half, you put the other half. Sam has a beautiful video. It's showing how the table works and even how the leg kit is assembled. And it's so portable. You literally set this thing up in 2 minutes, roll out your thematic premium game mat, and you're playing games. But then it gets better. You can add an accessory rail to convert half of your topper into a little mini topper. So you can have a coffee table, or you can have I have one in my camper. So half of my Watson, it's in the camper. So when we're on the picnic table, man, we're playing games and our dice are not rolling all over and cards aren't flying all over the place. It's awesome. But then we added leg kits so you can have a full table experience, or take it to game night. Premium storage bags, 32 thematic styles of game mats in 12 sizes. It's crazy. You should see our new 18,000 square foot warehouse is full of mats and pallets, so you can get what you want. We have leaf extensions that adds 24 inches to your topper. Well, but wait, there's more. We've continued to innovate and add all kinds of accessories and thematic elements and stylistic elements. Like, Sam, you have the oak inlay. You have our luxuriant aluminum rail that allows you to put in real half-inch oak. It's gorgeous. Well, on this Kickstarter campaign, we have 2 brand new laser etched engraved on oak toppers. They are, I wish that we have some really nice videos on the Kickstarter that shows both of these, but we have the Viking. I know you'd love that, Sam. This is, I do. I'm going to show you an accessory real quick, but this is the actual rail. This is probably not great photography, forgive me, but this is the military grade aluminum, the oak inlay, and look at this.
That is super awesome.
And when you see it on the table, fully set out, it's subtle, but it's gorgeous. And then it gives you a little bit of that Norse feeling, if you will. But then we have this we're calling it the high fantasy. You could say medieval fantasy, but it has kind of some really elegant script in the rail. I have one, the table that I'm sitting on actually has these inlays. I'll grab one here for you. You can see how gorgeous and elegant that is.
That is super nice.
And we so this is just one way of accessorizing your table. We have acrylic inlays with vinyl wrap graphics. We have, currently we're not offering them, but we had walnut toppers as well. So we've continued to widen the brand, give you more choices, so to speak. Our military grade standard powder coat is still extremely popular. And we've dropped a lot of those prices on those standard rails that we're offering on this Kickstarter as well. But then we have all kinds of accessories like double cup holders, trays, dice towers, accessory banks to store all of your bits and those type of things. So that's why, to answer your question, we feel this table really is one table to rule them all, because the versatility, I think, is unmatched.
Yeah, I would totally agree with that. And the reason I would is because it's not necessarily that the other companies don't offer some of those same things, but it's the portability of a game topper that really is the catch here. You can get all of that stuff with the other companies, but it's staying in your room. You're not moving it unless you and maybe 2 or 3, maybe 4 of your other friends are going to be moving it, because those suckers are daggum heavy. These are what, 75, 80 pounds?
Yeah, depending on the models.
100, I think.
The smaller models are in that 35 to 40 pounds. And like the Watson, which is our #1 seller, is about 65 pounds. We have a premium storage bag that's padded, and that adds about 8 pounds when you're carrying it. So that adds a little bit. It also provides protection, and it has double handles so 2 people can carry it. But we also have a very nice shoulder strap. So I can carry a game topper just fine. You know, I'm 60 years old. I still got a little left in the tank, but I can still carry it. But Sam can carry it too. He's strong like bull.
I am like.
But you don't want to carry it a block.
No, this is from the car to the house, bro.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and my wife and I are usually the ones that we usually team it, and she picks up one end, I pick up the other. We take it out to the car, and so forth. And they're not too heavy, but they're they have some heft to them. But
they're stout. It's heavy duty equipment that and the truth it's really heirloom quality. That's the term we've used because the components that we're using, the corner structures, heavy duty steel with HDMI corners, the finish even that we go painstakingly to make sure that the finishes don't scratch, the powder coating level that we use. And so they hold up even with that portability. You'd think that this would be like I said, Board Game Geek, man, they have volunteers tearing this stuff down for all these shows, and they look just like when they bought them.
Yep. There's, things are not made today like they used to be. And these are made like people used to make stuff so that they'll last. And so absolutely. Going on to a couple of other comments from our watchers. Rob Trotter says, one of my favorite artists is Magdalena Prozowska. Amazing artist. She did the art for Collab. So that might be one you take a note of. We have another question from Al Hernandez. Al says, great to meet you. My question is, would you ever go smaller than 43 by 43, something that you can carry from house to house maybe? So set up a small quick game perhaps.
Yeah, the 43 by 43 is the outside dimension of our Lestrade, and the play area is 3 by 3. Currently, that's the smallest. Technically, we have a smaller one. Half of the Watson is a table that is 30 inches by 38. The outside dimensions are 45 by 34. And that's a little bit smaller and a little bit more rectangular. We've talked about an idea of making a 2-foot by 4-foot. Our Mycroft topper has 3 24-inch segments. So when you put the two end pieces together, this kind of goes back to this versatility. You can put the two ends together and get a 4x4 Moriarty. It's crazy. Then you get a 4x6, which is the Mycroft. But then you can add another leaf and go 8 feet. Well, that leaf, if you just bought two 48-inch rails, you could make a 2-foot by 4-foot, which would be kind of cool for like little kitchen islands and for like playing 2-player games, Magic or Star Wars Unlimited. So we've had some thoughts about that. I don't know if there's enough interest for it or not, but we do have a Hudson. If you bought a Watson, you could buy a rail and then make a Hudson. And that's what I do for my camper, for instance.
And that's the cool thing that's one of the coolest, I think, accessories to this system is that rail kit, because you can literally just purchase a rail kit, and now you can, or if you purchase maybe 2 rail kits, you can split your table into 2 smaller tables. That's an amazingly cool thing to do with this system. So
a lot of people buy those double rail bundles. We on the Kickstarter, actually, it's in the stretch goals. You can see it there. I was trying to figure out, how can I save people money? How can I want to treat people like I want to be treated, and I love a deal just like anyone else, And so I'm always thinking that way. And so rather than buying the rail, buying the smaller mat, buying the storage bag, we put a bundle of them, and then we put a huge discounted price. So a lot of people do buy 2 of them so they can make 2 smaller tables. And then we made the Young Sherlock leg kit that are shorter legs with these heavy duty lockable coasters, 1,500 pound heavy duty. I prototyped so many coasters, I can't tell you, but they all stunk. And I said, no, I want to put my table saw on this thing. It's got to hold a Burky or it's not good enough, And it's a beautiful way to make that half topper into a coffee table that's movable for like your reclining couches. My grand run downstairs, grab the football helmets or the Lincoln logs and start playing on it. They just love it.
That's cool. That's awesome. All right. Well, moving on to my next question. It says this: while many companies are inflating their prices right now, Game Toppers is deflating their prices. So please explain how you're able to do that, and do you think it's going to be sustainable into the future?
That's a great question. I hope it's sustainable.
Yeah.
Since COVID, things have just been off the rails, man. Shipping is off the rails. Pardon the pun. Costs have gone up on almost every component. Shipping costs have been exacerbated worldwide. Our packages were really large, and it was when we started this company, it was about $150 to ship a topper. Now we're paying between $210 and $240 in the US. In Europe, it's over $400. So really a problem. And for about 3 years, I just started realizing that if we're going to survive as a company, I have to fix this problem. And there was many times, honestly, I just thought maybe it's time to shut this thing down and quit, because this is getting beyond what I can do. They're only worth a certain amount. You know, it's not like this product is worth $2,000 just for the topper itself. Right. So that being said, our topper prices had gone up a little bit over the last few years. Our number one selling Watson, we've been selling for $8.99, for instance. I'll tell you the price of what we're doing now on the Kickstarter, but it took us almost 2.5 years to find a solution. Started talking to the manufacturer, and he says, you know, honestly, Burky, if it were me, I'd be doing this myself. You really don't need us. This is my, you know, I've spent millions of dollars over the last 8 years with the company, and he's telling me you don't really need us. Now they were going to raise their prices, and I'm like, maybe I don't need you. I don't know if we can do this. So, you know, you ask yourself a lot of questions, and I always find when you're up against a wall, you got to find a way to either go over it, around it, or under it. Of course, there was a lot of soul searching, a lot of research, a lot of painstaking details for logistics to see if we could do this. What we landed on is this. We were able to, by getting our toppers in 2 smaller boxes instead of the large box that goes into this over category, we were able to take our shipping costs from that $250 down to $99. It's like crazy, right? And all what's happening now is the customer will partially assemble the topper. The only thing that's precision on the installation is the corner blocks, which we are going to assemble. The rail that I showed you, the floor just slides on it, and you put 2 screws in, and then you put the corner block on. And once you've put the topper together, it's just like what I've been paying to have the topper put together. And it's super simple. There's a video on our page, a couple different places, shows exactly how that is. And honestly, it was my biggest concern. I need to make this really simple. I don't want it as hard as setting up a calyx shelf, for instance. So we wanted it to be simple. Anybody who's put those together knows what I'm talking about. But by figuring that out, then we started going, okay, can we source the parts correctly? We found that we could buy our parts much better and even improve some of the quality of a few of them by sourcing properly. So did a lot of research, a lot of work on that. Then the problem was my 5,000 square foot warehouse in Minnesota was full, packed to the brim with inventory. We had no room to do this packaging solution. We looked at building on a 6,000 square foot facility, working with state and city. And it started to become a little problematic and costing a lot more than I thought I could handle. And then an 18,000 square foot warehouse in our hometown that actually has a lot of office space and premium space and large warehouse space, not that old of a building, we were able to purchase for less than what it was going to cost us to build. And so we bought that building last November. Now we've been doing all of our fulfillment for there. We leased out our other building, which is helping pay for this building. And it allowed us the infrastructure that we needed to be able to facilitate all this idea that we've been working on. And now we're there. And we are so thrilled because that Watson topper, that $8.99 topper, we're bringing it back down. You talked about deflation. Everybody's screaming about inflation, inflation. Yes, Burky's and my team have figured out how to deflate our prices, and we're offering that Watson for $6.99 and shipping half of what it was. If you're in the UK or if you're in Germany or in Europe, instead of $450, because they get VAT. You know, if it costs $400 to ship, they get another $80 service VAT charge on top of it. Now it goes down to about $150 to $200, and they're only paying $40 for VAT. So all of a sudden, we made our product accessible in Europe. Not the product is less money than it used to be, plus the shipping is way less. It's like a $300 to $400 difference without compromising any quality. We didn't change anything. It's all the same high quality known Game Topper stuff.
That's amazing. And you know, the cool thing about it, you know, I put it in there, is this sustainable? I think it is sustainable because of how you're reducing your costs. That's the cool thing. You're not lowering your qualities so that you can lower your cost. You're not doing any of that kind of stuff, because that, to me, that enters into the whole sustainability. Because if you lower your quality, you're going to have to spend more money into putting in replacement parts, or your customers are going to have to purchase replacement parts, and that's not really sustainability, in my opinion. But the way you've done it, you've kind of put your nose to the grindstone to try to figure out the best way to lower your prices and your shipping costs without passing that on to the customer, without, you know, because that's how everybody's kind of trying to fix their problem right now. Well, we're just going to have to pass all of those things down to the next, you know, to the customer. And it's like, that's also not sustainable. So I really think that it's neat how you've come up with this way of lowering your prices, lowering shipping costs, and really the only thing you're passing along to your customers is you have to do a little bit of elbow grease and put a little bit more together than you would have originally.
This topper can be put together in about 20 minutes, so it's really it's pretty simple. And I was thinking when you were talking, I was thinking of something Mark Streed said to me many years ago. He goes, Burky, your Game Topper is the ultimate gaming accessory.
Yeah.
And when he said that, he said, because it's not only does it provide the features that gamers want, but I can afford it. You know, every game that you play from here on out is upgraded. You know, we spend $50 on little wooden inserts for our games, and we buy metal coin bits and all these things, and we buy a lot of games. But I mean, once you've made this investment from here on out, every game you play is upgraded. And for you know, now for $700, you could have a beautiful game table that you can continue to upgrade if you want down the road. You can add things to it, all that kind of stuff. But every game you play from here on out is upgraded. And now I think we've made it more accessible, more affordable. So if you've been sitting on the fence going, I don't know if I can afford that, well, we've done our best to not compromise quality, like you're saying, but make it a product that's a little easier on the wallet.
Couple of comments. PK Pastor Ken says, I love to see an American business prosper. He did fix it in the comments, prosper and grow. Right after that, David came up with a very succinct post. You are passing the savings on to the customers instead of inflating your prices to make more money. You are saving your company money and you're passing those savings on to the customers. That's a primo thing. So that's awesome. And PK follows it up. Yep. There aren't many companies doing that today. Most are keeping the savings for themselves. So that's another thing that is just super cool about this whole thing. And it just kind of speaks to the kind of company that Game Toppers is. So we know that you have your game toppers available in the 5.0 Kickstarter, and you touched on this a little bit earlier, but I want to come back to it because I know that there's more. What else do you have coming that's new in this 5.0 Kickstarter?
Well, one of the things, we have so much product that it's hard to digest it all on a Kickstarter. So we try to come to Kickstarter with some of the new items. And then we still have a lot of offerings that you can get our web store at shop.gametoppersllc.com. But on this campaign, we're focusing on the newer, lower pricing, shipping, and all of our standard models. But we came up with these beautiful high fantasy and beautiful Viking engraved oak tables, very limited quantity. I mean, we can produce about 120 units with the existing inventory we have at this price. Now, 3 years ago, we did a sculpted rail, a Viking sculpted rail, and a dragon rail with Dogmite Games, and those tables were $1,400. These tables are $9.99 and $10.99. So it's an incredible opportunity to get a premium limited edition. You know, I don't know if we'll bring these back or not, and they might come back at a higher cost when I have to repurchase wood. I don't know that. But right now, this is an amazing value for a premium product. Plus, we've added a few accessories. A good friend of mine, and I love him to death, but he's a little known designer, publisher, artist by the name of Ryan Lockett. Some of you might know, and not so little. He has become one of my dearest people in this hobby. I love Ryan and his Mallory, his family, his products, his games, his talent. It blows my mind. He did our Ryan Lockett mat, is what we called it, and it still sells very well. Beautiful mat. But we got talking about making a mat with the Arzium theme, with all of the different elements from different games, the environments. And we keep most of the art assets around the edge of the mat so that you feel the environment, but it doesn't interfere with your board game.
Right.
So when you go to our website, you can see all these amazing mats, and they're some of the best fidelity printing and highest quality feeling, and they just roll out flat. They're beautiful, double stitched edge. They don't move. They're premium storage bags with them, all that kind of stuff. We try to go an extra notch on all of that. But this Arzia mat is crazy cool. And then Amber Scarf did our nature mat. It's amazing. This nature mat, it's very high seller, beautiful. She's making us a new underwater world map. And it might have a little bit of Finding Nemo, but not too Disney. It's gonna be more like for Aquatica and Abyss and Finspan and these beautiful. When you see the work in progress on the website, because that one's not quite finished, she's doing it in stages. When you see this, you're gonna go, I just want to put it on the wall.
Take my money. Actually, that's a good segue, because you're not only deflating your products, the prices of your products, you're not only cutting shipping costs, but if I read correctly, you're also giving away some free stuff too.
This is a great deal. I had this idea before we did this campaign that we were going to make a Game Topper hat plushie, because people love plushies, right? Well, long and short of that, the plushie idea didn't work. They thought I meant to make a full hat, and it had this huge brim, looked like a witch's hat. And I was telling Jamie Keggy from the Secret Cabal. Oh, and he just started laughing, and then I showed him the picture, and he couldn't stop laughing. And I'm going, no, this is my Kickstarter. This is what I'm going to give people. This is my brilliant idea, and it's not working.
Amazing.
So we had to shift gear. Maybe in the future we'll figure out how to do a cool plushie. But then I was talking to our web publisher, and we almost did this during COVID, because at that time, a lot of the board game publishers, they were making puzzles out of their board game art. Yeah. And they were selling like crazy. And I kind of missed the boat on that. But I had thought about it. But long and short, we got thinking, what if we took some of our most popular mats from these wonderful artists that are beautifully designed art. We take some of the ones that would look really great as a framed print. And we found a way to make 12 by 18 limited edition prints. So if you come in and back the Kickstarter campaign at any of the wave levels except the $1 level, so you back it at any level, you're going to get your choice of one of our top 7. We did a survey and let everybody choose which ones they wanted. You can go and look and see it there. But you're going to get a free limited edition print worth $30 just for pledging on the campaign.
That's awesome. That's one of the cool things that I like about doing that, because, you know, as we just bought a new house in December, and as we're trying to populate our bare walls with stuff, we're trying to think outside of the box on what we're going to put up there. And you know, we've got a lot of the, you know, family pictures and all that kind of stuff. That's sure, but there's still some holes that we're like, what can we put there? And we're like, let's put some board game art there. And so I've backed the BGG artist series, the most recent one there.
Yeah.
And you know, having this come up, that's another amazing thing. I love when artists kind of think outside the box, because it's not just, okay, there's the board game board up on my wall. No, it's not that. It's something that was inspired by the board game art, and that these things kind of fit into that same category. So I think
I think they're going to be really cool. And some of these the horror mat from John McCambridge is so gorgeous. The nature mat from Amber Scarf was really highly sought after. The Scythe resource mat from Yaroslav was highly sought after. So we're going to have a lot of these different ones, but I know that you love one of our artists. There's an artist that did our fantasy RPG mat with the dragon and the 1-inch squares. His name is Brent Woodside. Brent and his wife Kayla are these amazing artists. They've worked with Disney and the Tolkien estate and Lucas Arts and all kinds of different things. They tend to go to a lot of these shows too, selling their fan art, which is amazing. But I love him. He did our designer rails, and he also did this mat. But when we decided to do our high fantasy table, we've got this new product, and this is the coolest thing. We're working on the video right now. I'll show it to you very quickly. But this is a new accessory for our tables. This is a solid oak, beautifully finished tray. And this locks right into the rail, but it also can sit standalone on your table. Well, what this does, it has a channel here where we can put an easel in it. So we have a solid oak easel. I should say this is oak plywood actually here, but this easel goes in the tray like this, and it can go either direction.
Yep.
So if you want it facing yourself for like your rule book or a DM screen, something like that. If you want to use it for it has a hole in it so that you can put your charging code on your iPad. If you've got an app-driven game, that type of thing. You can also, it's going to have magnets on it where it sits on the rail like this to make a tray for your armies or for your snacks or for your laptop computer. And what's cool about it is we added some theme, because just like in games, I love theme. Viking theme, like yourself, is one of my favorite themes.
Yes, have some.
So here's the Viking one.
That's super cool.
And this is laser etched.
Yep.
I don't think the camera is probably doing it justice. But then Brent Woodside, that we were just mentioning, the artist, excuse me, this is his dragon.
Wow.
And it's laser etched. I apologize. This is just a webcam that is not doing the art justice, but it is beautiful.
Yeah.
And when you put this next to your Viking rail, and now this is premium craftsmanship. It's from a local woodworker here that I love to death. He's been so helpful. His name is Josh Shafram from Timbers and Tim, and high quality individual. He's has the capacity to handle what we're going to be able to do. But this entire easel system, solid oak base and the laser etched top, and it has heavy duty magnets in it also for that tray system, so it won't move. That whole system is going to have a retail price of $189, and you've seen custom DM screens that are, you know, $350. But during this Kickstarter, we're offering this thing for $99. So tons of functionality. And we're going to have a stretch goal. Nobody's seen this yet, okay? So it's not even on the campaign. This is only for my Flipside of board gaming friends, okay? This here is cool.
What? Is that a koozie?
It's a dice cup.
Yes.
And in the bottom, it has dice. So you can take this to game night for your DM screen if you want, or I'm flip it around here. He sells these for $29. Okay, he goes to a lot of different shows with his engraving. I pay about $9 for these to get these, and I'm going to offer them on the Kickstarter if you buy one of these easels for $10. I'm not going to make anything, but it's just a cool thing to have with it. And it helps him out a little bit too to send some love his way for all the hard work he's done on our campaign. But it's really high quality, like a leather suede, a nice quality stitching and rib. Anyway, this is cool.
That's neat.
Just little stuff like that we're trying to do better to give the customer more value and make it fun.
Yep. Well, that's been completely evident through this entire interview. Frankly, you have the customers in mind. You are wanting to do well in your business, and that's absolutely evident. But it's not just about the business. You have a focus on giving the customer better stuff that is going to last. So one of the things that I wanted to end on, we have just a few more minutes. This has gone twice as long as I thought it would be. That's okay. So here is my last question for you. Could you take a moment and talk about your customer service philosophy and how that might differentiate you from other game table companies?
Oh, thanks, Sam. It means the world to me. I have two main business philosophies that I've had through all of my businesses, and I had a multi-million-dollar computer business, and this was the exact same philosophy. I wanted to treat each person like I wanted to be treated. I don't want to be treated like a number. I don't want to be treated like I don't matter. Especially when I spend today's Amazon world, nobody even expects customer service hardly. It's like, well, if it doesn't work, we'll buy something else or throw it away. And it's like, I don't think like that. Value means something to me. My word means something to me. And so when you buy from Game Toppers, you're not just buying the table, you're also buying this philosophy of being treated well. And then the second main concept is always for me is to give the customer more than they expect. And you just mentioned that actually. Warren Buffett makes a comment about how the key to winning in business is to delight your customer.
Yeah.
I love that. And over again, people get our product and they go, Burky, this is way better than I thought. I didn't realize it was this solid. I didn't realize it was this nice. And, you try your best online to show it graphically, but until you experience the Game Topper system and you go, you're getting a premium product at a fraction of the cost of what it's going to cost to buy a lot of stuff. That being said, we answer every email. You're not getting an answering machine. We don't work at the warehouse on the weekends, but you'll find oftentimes I'm answering emails all weekend long. And I don't know what it is in my DNA that can't let it go and just let people wait. But people are amazed at how quick and how responsive we are. I'm not perfect. We can miss things and we can make mistakes, but when we do make a mistake, we own it and then fix it and respond. I remember when we first started our company, we had some packaging issues and we had some damages, and most of it was shipping related, wasn't our fault. But we had our fulfillment company at that time make some mistakes, and I was stressed out, man. I was so stressed because we just started, and I don't want my customer to have a bad experience. I hate that. So we have enough trouble in life to have to deal with that when you shell out money, right? Right. And so I thought this was bad, but I responded so quickly and took care of everybody so well. They actually loved me. They went online and said, Burky's the best. And he called me back right away. He took care of it. And I'm like, I didn't personally screw up, but we screwed up and I had to make it right, and they were blown away by that. And I didn't realize that people didn't have that expectation. And I get that comment a lot. So long and short, to answer your question, we just have a commitment to quality and how we make stuff so that you don't have problems, but we have a commitment if you have any issues or concerns that you're going to hear directly from us. And you just go and ask people on the internet, because, hey, have you worked with game toppers before? Or you'll get all kinds of, I never worry about that question because I know we work very hard for people.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I think is evident. And I think it goes into that idea of you just want to do the right thing, whatever that has to be. That's what you're committed to doing, and I think that speaks volumes of the integrity that you have in the business, in the hobby, in the industry, if we want to use that word. But it also flows into because this is kind of a family business as well. I know your son works there, kind of shoulder to shoulder with you more often than not. Yep. And a lot of the other employees, or if they're not your family, they're your friends.
They're like family. And we're a tight company. There's 4 of us. My wife, when we're super busy, she's back there packaging and she cleans the warehouse. We run a tight ship. We want things clean in our warehouse and all of those things, so things are organized, and we all do whatever needs to be done, basically. And Josiah is a computer science major, but he's just done a brilliant job with logistics, worldwide logistics, and taking care of people and the responsiveness. And he's very thoughtful as well and committed to that. And as we get bigger, I kept saying, if we are able to be successful with this and add more people, this is going to be our philosophy. We're not going to have a bunch of autoresponders where people don't matter,
Yeah. Well, that's great. Well, we are out of time, but I wanted to say thank you, Burky, for coming on here. And I do want to end with telling everybody that's here, if you are watching this at this point, or if you're watching it later on, go check out the 5.0 Game Toppers Kickstarter on Kickstarter.com and see what they have, and really give some serious thought to putting your support behind this American company. Now, you're based here in America. You do outsource some of your stuff, if I'm not correct, right?
Yeah, like our game mats, our storage bags. There's a few things that we import, but most of the topper material is our rails. Aluminum is made in Michigan. Our mold injected cup holders and all of those things are in Wisconsin, and our wood is all American based wood. These kind of things. So we're a little less affected by some of the uncertainty that's happening right now regarding importing, but. So we've been able to mitigate some of those things, but we've also factored that into our business plan so that we can take care of people well.
Awesome. Couple of more comments from those watching. Chester Wilson asks, "Is there a stretch goal for Burky's Jerky?"
Well, it's definitely stretching me out. You might see me at a convention, and you might be able to see Burky if he has his backpack on, and he may have a pouch or 2 of my famous jerky I used to cook years ago, and have a signature seasoning that I really don't sell, just to friends and stuff, but I keep making, and I've gotten kind of known for Burky's jerky, so it's a special treat that sometimes I make.
Or Happy Mouth.
And my Happy Mouth spice.
Mouth.
Happy Mouth.
Last comment from our watchers. Don't forget to mention prompt shipping. Kickstarter 4.0 Topper arrived 25 days. That's almost a whole month earlier than estimated.
Well, we try. You know, it's not in every situation have we accomplished it, but like on this Kickstarter, we're telling everyone February delivery. Well, that's only 6 months from the end. When the Kickstarter ends July 11th, the Pledge Manager launches right before Gen Con in August. That to get to February from August, that's only 6 months. I mean, that's crazy. Nobody does that. Well, we have a plan to try to do better than that. And hopefully we'll be able to do that. And then wave 2 that goes to Europe and UK and everything is in June. And we hope to exceed that expectation as well. So we do work hard. We don't promise, but we have a plan to do better than we say.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Burky, for taking time out of your schedule to be here and talk with the audience and my community here. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for your support of our channel. The way you do it, and I can't say anything better. Looking forward to seeing you next week, though.
Yeah,
Origins. That's right.
And we're going to Buca de Pepa with our team dinner, and we're going to be in the Pulp Room again. No, thank you, Sam, for taking the time out too and to share this. I appreciate you more than I can tell you, and it's a real blessing to know you. And thank you all that have listened to and endured the silliness.
That's absolutely correct. If you got to do something, you might as well have fun doing it.
That's right.
And, I think that's what we're doing here. So, all right. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Come on back tomorrow morning. I'm going to be playing by myself 1962 of Heat Pedal to the Metal Championship Series. It's going to be the US of A map. So that's going to be happening tomorrow, probably morning. So we'll see you then. Take care. Bye-bye.